nerdy dude stuff.
For those of you keeping track at home, today's beer of the day is the Jack O Pumpkin Ale by Samuel Adams Brewing, sitting at 4.4% alcohol by volume. This is a nice ale brewed with lemon peel, natural flavors, and pumpkin added. We'll get right in there right there. You know I'm a big sucker for these pumpkin spice latte beers. I am definitely a basic white girl when it comes to this. So I have been looking for a really good one, and usually I support a lot of the local craft brewers when it comes to their pumpkin ales, but I went with the big guy for this one, and I gotta say, this one's a 4.25 out of 5. Really good on that pumpkin pie flavoring, not too much on the cinnamon and spicy flavoring, which I really think the lemon peel brings that down. So I do enjoy this. This is probably one of my top favorite pumpkin beers so far of this season. So once again, 4.25. And if you guys want to buy me a beer, just click on the link in the description or in the About Me section on my profile to go to Buy Me a Coffee, which is really just going to be going towards a beer. If you buy a beer, leave a note with your favorite beer for me to review, and I will try to find that and review it here on the channel for you. Anyway, cheers to you guys.
Bink! What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a video about helium mining 2021 versus 2022. This is going to be more of a rant and kind of a where are we now, what inspired 2021, and what's going on today. So there's not a lot of stuff I want to talk about like this, but I just want to make sure that I ask you guys to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notification, and let's just jump right to the video. So yesterday I met up with one of my crypto buddies, so I've actually known for quite some time, probably about, 2022? Probably about, what did I meet him in, 2018, so going on 4 years now. CryptoWealth. We used to be very similar in channels, talking about crypto tab miner, freebitco.in, which we'll be doing some videos on, but we're going to direct you to our library here shortly, and, Bet Fury, all these other things. We used to be very similar, and then I kind of went into the plug-and-play mining back in 2021, but we met up yesterday, and we went to Corona's to have a couple of cigars, and to talk, and to chit-chat, and catch up, and we started talking about helium, since my channel went into a big helium, craze. 2021 was all about plug-and-play miners, and we started talking about kind of some of the things that might have swayed helium from the big gold rush that we were seeing in 2021, what inspired that gold rush, and to why we are now in 2022, which is null and void. One thing that we talked about that was major was the price. Looking at the price now, helium sitting at $4.73, and we saw an all-time high of about $55, $56. And we were talking about the possibilities of how we could ever see that all-time high price again. And realistically, we came to an agreement that we don't think that's going to happen, because really one thing that CryptoWealth was talking mainly about was the technology, what the signal's used for, and how can it take over what other signals we use. For example, Bluetooth. Bluetooth is major. Most devices are connected off of Bluetooth, which connect to our cell phones. So really, what does the low raw capabilities and the signal provide that's going to offer anything? And then really, what's the 5G signals and stuff going to offer and bring anything? What are we providing coverage for? That was my big question, is what exactly are we providing coverage for? And so that was a big conversation that we had. Then we started kind of leading into, well, what do we think really drove the price in helium? Where did the volume and liquidity realistically come from? And I started thinking that as helium miners became more and more scarce, when the supply was low and the demand was high, we saw the same thing happen to the helium price. The helium price was high while the demand for helium miners was high. People were on 9-month waiting lists, year-long waiting lists, 16-month waiting lists. And as those waiting lists were expanding and minimal helium miners were available, that price stayed up. So for example, when we first got into helium mining, we purchased 2 of these Bobcat devices, And we had, I think it was a 6-week wait time frame, and we purchased them once they came in. I think the helium price was at about $12. I looked at some of my older videos and content to see where helium was at the time. I honestly got bored digging through my old content, but this is something that I thought was important, where I'm looking at this screen right here. This is my big current manta ray. This was actually in January of 2022, so right at the end of obviously the start of 2022, end of 2021. We have 10.46 helium, and it's not buffering right, but whatever. We have 10. Actually, this is when I did the streams with my regular PC, and they were ass quality. So it was 421.33 was the total of my 10.46. So that right there is just $40 a token back at the beginning of 2022, and we not even mining for a full 30 days, May 10. So right there, we were still at the peak of the gold rush. This was when the mile site miners came out, and I'm really talking fast here. This is when the mile site miners came out, and they were pretty much readily available while people were still waiting for their Bobcats and their racks and all the other miners that came out back then. So the price was still up. So now we had these miners that are on back order, and now the big thing that I've been talking about is doing this whole new helium journey in 2022 with my Doosun miner to kind of replicate that 2021 experience, but with a cheaper miner that's readily available. And if you still want to get into helium, you can purchase one of these in the link below, save yourself $10, and follow some of my older content to do your placement and your setup, because that all still qualifies and works. But this is a much easier price point to get into at $179, and these devices are available. And I think because these are available and helium miners are this much cheaper, and we're making the big jump to 5G, that demand is no longer there, which ultimately reflects in the price being here. And we see this tanking every single day. Now, why this is a big hit is because if I go into my helium account, and I'm really, really happy with the numbers that we're pulling on a number, not a dollar value, because right now, in the past 24 hours, this is actually kind of crap in my opinion, especially having 6 helium miners, and back when we used to be making 15 to 20 helium per miner per 30-day period, now we're lucky to be making 26 for 6 miners. So still at the end of the day, in the past 7 days, we did do a cash out the other day. I think we cashed out on the 26th, and we still earned a little bit. We had a really good day at 1.243, 7.9, blah, blah, blah. But we've got 6 miners, and we're only pulling 7 helium, when the ultimate goal was always to be having 2.5 to 3.5 helium in an average day. But this is mainly because the network has 939,000 active, or not active, but 939,000 helium miners that are currently out providing signal, with only 3,463 that are out providing the 5G, which I don't even know if they have the price value there, with some lower volume and everything in HNT. But I believe about 65 to 70% of these miners are actually active. But back when we first got into helium mining and we were seeing those monstrous numbers, we were kind of in that lone wolf territory in our section. Helium, we had about, I think we started when there was about 21,000 helium miners that were active, or not even active, that were actually online or set, versus now where it's just an oversaturation in the market. So that kind of leads to, I was comparing the situation with CryptoWealth as like the San Francisco gold rush, And I talked about this with Helium Martin Haristo. I believe I did it on a stream as well, where I asked if you believe the gold rush is over, and they said no. But really, if you look at the numbers, where's my area? If you look at the numbers and you look at everything that's going on, I really do feel the gold rush is over as well. So let's just finish up by taking a look into my account here. So we're going to pull up my original Helium miner, Brief Taupe Fox, okay? This is the original Mac Daddy. We're still kind of getting our goal over 30 days. We're still over 10, so I still feel this is perfect placement. I don't need to do any updates, but it's just the area around me. It's really kind of bumming to see that we're still at 3.0, which is nice. Remember, 2.5 to 5.0, which is good, especially with a crappy transmit scale. But it's kind of a slower day. But let's go into the overall account before I do one last topic of conversation that I really think inspired the gold rush and then crashed the gold rush. And I'm not throwing shade, I'm not throwing hate, but we'll talk about that in a second. But it's nice to see here, right, we've got our funny mossy baboon, which is our Doosun pulling in 0.04 in 24 hours. I believe the network average is like 0.019 or something now. Or it's actually 0.09 or something. I don't know. We'll look in a minute. Soft Pink Dachshund, which isn't really doing much. Big Current Manta Ray, which has been off for a few days, is now at 0.2. I did a reboot on that. Sour Walnut, 0.14. This is actually a slower day for all my devices, so we'll see if that kicks into high gear. We're currently sitting at 3.44 Helium, which is sitting at $16. That's a kick in the nads, because at one point in time, that 3.44, we just could have added like another 0 to the end of it, and it would have been 160.27 cents, which is insane. But, so, ultimately, you know, what inspired the gold rush and what inspired the days that we're in right now. And I'm just going to flat out and say it. This inspired the gold rush. This video actually inspired a lot of my channel and what I started doing with my channel. But this was from Voscoin, and he did a video where he said I made 5,200 in one day on a Helium miner. And this was back before Helium miner switched to validators, when they had consensus groups, and about only 12,000 Helium miners were on the network, and they would pick randomly one of these Helium miners to just like flood with all this consensus, and that's why he got $5,200 in one day. So this video inspired a lot of people to go out. I mean, right now it's sitting at 223,000 views, which is more than I've ever had, but it's inspired a lot of people to jump and use his links to go and purchase Helium miners and to get on those backlogs and to get on those back weights. And he showcased this many, many times during 2021, which continued the drive. So what inspired my channel was when we looked at his placement and where his miner was, it was sitting in a window with its small antenna, which windows, especially double and triple paned windows with the mesh, even the app now tells you with the screen, will refract the signal, will prevent the signal from going back. He wasn't really getting a lot of witnesses or validators or anything like that. He just got lucky to get in the consensus group, but this made it seem like everyone could plug in their Helium miner and make that same amount. I mean, I felt guilty to it. I plugged in my Helium miner and was disappointed when I didn't get a consensus group within the first 3 days and I didn't make 5,200. So I was sold the dream, but then I turned around and started showing my channel on how to do a proper setup, all the trial and errors that I did, what antennas work and what don't, and we've seen a lot of people that were successful. It's just unfortunate that the price is where it's at, which is poo-poo. So what's kind of causing the downswing as well with the Helium network and the Helium price, besides the sheer amount of Helium miners that are going on, this big Helium miner advocate Voscoin now is, I'm regretting, like this is a big one right here, the video, I'm regretting Helium mining. Does Helium mining suck now? Helium mining sucks now. Is Helium mining still worth it? You know, all these other things about Helium mining that put it on the downswing that caused the FUD. And the only reason why I'm saying Voscoin is because A, he's the bigger YouTube channel that showcases Helium mining, and B, I was talking to a few people in Discord earlier today and yesterday, and that was one of the big reasons and the big names that popped up as well, where he's basically crapping all over Helium. Regardless of the fact of HIP 70 coming out and bringing Helium onto, I think it's what, Solana, and regardless of all these hips that are just really screwing everything up, there's the more FUD that's going around, the more that Helium's going to be on the downswing. If realistically, if you know Helium mining sucks now, guys, turn off all your devices. Let me get the rewards, because I have no problem keeping those devices on. But those are just some of my thoughts and opinions. This was more of the conversation that, this was more of the conversation. Where are you, CryptoWealth? This was more of the conversation This was more of the conversation, how many times am I going to say that I had with CryptoWealth yesterday about Helium mining. So if you guys take a moment, you want to explore some more content, go and subscribe to his channel. I might start touching base on some of the DAOs and finance stuff that he does, just because I feel plug and play mining is kind of dying out. So with that said, our schedule is super sporadic, but trust me, I hear you guys talking about what you want to see with plug and play mining. I do owe you guys a blocks update. We put them on 90-day blast, and so we're going to kind of follow up on where we are at the end of those 90 days, if we're going to still provide coverage or still talk about it or even do any more videos on it. So blocks is going to be a big update. We also have our aware elements. If you guys still have those, keep them. Don't get rid of them. There's actually a small project that reached out to me that it's going to be sending me something to unbox, and they're going to have ways to be able to use our aware elements to send data to them for their small plug and play mining operation. So make sure you stay tuned, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, because I know we all have one of these. I know I was a big advocate for it. You can see mine's still here, mine's still plugged in. The only one that's not plugged in and still actively recording streams is the one from my best friend's house, because he moved out of that apartment and I had to pick it up. So I still have one at my in-laws house, at one of my family friends' house. They are still actively sending streams to nowhere, but we're going to have an opportunity to get them earning cryptocurrency again. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to talk about blocks. We're going to talk about the Aware, the Fartmaster 3000, and we're also going to talk about Deeper as well as SCP. Not a lot going on in the SCP field, as we're also waiting for people to purchase data, but we are still getting incentives. We are still getting rewards for that as well. So we have all this stuff we want to cover in such little time, so it might change the way we do our channel just a bit. Because really, and I was talking to CryptoWealth about this yesterday, I only record a lot of my content during the day. I don't record my content at night. I feel like, you know, my office is dark, the lighting isn't great, I'm not pretty anymore. and it just doesn't feel right recording at night, but that's if I'm on camera. So I might do some stuff off camera where you guys just hear me talking while I'm going over stuff on my screen, just so I can consistently bring you content. Because I play Call of Duty almost every single night, and I don't know why I just can't, take a few minutes to do a video to show you guys. So, anywho, that's going to do it for me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to me on Telegram, Twitter, or Discord. I do have my email address in the bio of my YouTube channel, so you go to the main page as well. If you guys want to buy me a beer, there's a link for that in the description of this video. It's really buy me a coffee, but leave a note and I will, find your favorite beer and review it on the channel, or all that good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the bell notification. I'm O'Price. We'll see you guys next time.